Hey everybody, Sean from Media Assault here, and it's time for another movie review. This time out, I'm going to be reviewing Lucy. This is the DVD, obviously. And Lucy was a 2014 film that was directed by Luc Besson. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He, of course, is the person behind The Fifth Element, Leon the Professional, La Femme Nikita, among other things. And this is a story of sort of an unwitting drug mule who is accidentally dosed with this drug called CPH4, which allows her to unlock the potential of her brain more so than the average human. Of course, this is based on the premise that humans only use 10% of their brain, which of course is a fallacy. And apparently Luc Besson has acknowledged the fact that that is a fallacy, but he maintains that the drug that is portrayed in this film, even though it's under a completely fictional name, is a real drug that is produced by pregnant women after the 6th week of pregnancy, and that's actually mentioned in the movie. Not a spoiler, it's just sort of factual information that I learned while researching the movie. Anyway, I really enjoyed the premise of the film, even though there is that fallacy that we use only 10% of our brain. It sort of builds on that. I did enjoy the actual premise of the movie, which is really that taking this drug enables her, or anybody else I would assume that would take this drug, to unlock the interconnectivity between cells at the cellular level. And as a result of that, it opens the secret to life's mysteries. It allows her to, and apparently anybody else who would take this again, to erase ignorance, promote understanding, eliminate desire, not feel pain. And of course, there's some weird things with being able to manipulate electricity and control people's brains and bodies and other crazy stuff. Some might complain that this movie is excessively preachy. It was actually the preachy parts of the movie that I wish there were more of. At least they had something to say. Really, what this movie is, it's almost like two movies that are mashed together. You've got this sort of really interesting premise about knowledge and the brain's power and interconnectivity between cells and all this understanding of life stuff. And then you've got a second-rate action film that's sort of shoehorned in there with some really spectacular special effects and action sequences that really don't belong in this movie if it's the preachy movie. If you want an action movie, you could do much better than Lucy. If you want a movie that promotes understanding and eliminating ignorance and that type of thing, you could also do a lot better with probably a documentary. So this is sort of a meshing of two things that doesn't really work that well. It's mainly just a lot of bargain basement action film cliches, and they're all sort of it's all sort of stitched together in such a way that it comes across as really preposterous and silly. And Besson has done silly before. The Fifth Element, which I mentioned before, is a superb example of a science fiction film that's really silly, but does a great job of doing what it should do. It's entertaining. Lucy is silly, but yet the premise is delivered in such a way and with such a grim-faced seriousness that it's really not, you don't want to accept anything it has to say. It's sort of like a vacuum cleaner salesman that knocks on your door at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday. You really don't want to hear anything they have to say, and you really probably don't want to have much to do with what this movie has to say. One thing that bothered me, and this really isn't a spoiler, so if you really are worried about this being a spoiler, please turn off the video now, but this really isn't a spoiler, is that this drug that Scarlett Johansson's character Lucy is supposed to be transporting to be used by other people I would assume that somebody has tried this drug before. You don't just make a drug and say, okay, we just mix some chemicals together and off we go to sell it. It's going to be great. People will pay thousands of dollars for a kilo of this stuff, or millions of dollars for, I don't know what drug prices are, sorry. But you're going to assume somebody's taken this stuff. So no one else has experienced the side effects that Lucy's character has. I mean, even if they don't take it in the massive dose that she takes it accidentally, there's not a bit of awareness or, lights flicker in a room or something like that. I mean, it's just completely without precedent that one person unlocks the potential of their brain after taking this drug. It just seems really unlikely to me in a movie that's full of a lot of things that are really unlikely to happen. And it's really too bad because Lucy does have some likable parts. I did mention the action sequences and the visual effects. They're really good and they're really entertaining and innovative, but they're completely wasted on this movie. And they don't belong here at all, so they're not really enjoyable. They just sort of make you wish you were watching another movie. So my feelings on Lucy are, I'll give it a 3 out of 10, which is really bad because, really sad, I should say, because I really wanted to like this movie. But unfortunately, I did not like very much of it. So there you go. That's my review of Lucy from 2014. As always, feel free to rate, comment, or subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Take it easy.